Howdy sports fans, and welcome to Esports with Secret Nerd Dad. Right here in the middle of this game, we've won two, lost one, but only because it froze. It just froze up. The game froze up, and by the time we restarted and came back, it was game over. So that's fun. It's the whole point of running 17 land is that you're supposed to hit your 4th land drop on time. But you know, sometimes it doesn't happen, so. That's the game, son. Four. 14. 15. 16, 17, 18. 4. 5. 15, 17, 19, 21, 22, 23. I can stop. 3, 6. Stop 6. So I need to go here. Go here. And that stops 7. That's how we end our draft. We'll do it again. TD value need Core 2020. That's your deal. Steel Overseer. Deer Golem. Shock. Sedge Scorpion. Cloud Concealer. I think we're going green blue. Sedge Scorpion. Let's say as green as possible to start with. Let's see. Mammoth Spider or Winged Words. Let's go Winged Words. Winged Words. Take the uncommon. Leafin Druid. Take 1 minute if he comes around. Champion. Ferocious Pup. Gift of Paradise. Spider. Burial Invocation. Embodiment of Agnes. Sure. I mean, I know token matters deck, but Risen Reef is the hotness. I can probably get it. We start getting some people down. So go ahead and take this Dismal Blackwater. Light of the Masses, Thicket Crasher. Alright, another Mammoth Spider. Pulse of Barasa. With the champion. Gorging Vulture. Bullfighter Saddle. Well, let's get some more flyers. Let's go quick. Got a collection. Cavalier. hard to get rid of.
search for another noble hierarch, and there's only 2 cages, so like there are times in Magic where you look at your opening hand and you just have to say beat me, right? Like, you end up mulliganing and playing too passive that any strategy wins. And if you're in a matchup like Merfolk that's super aggressive, yep, those cages are just going to get me, beat me with them, and that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, the cage is going to be very good here, and I'm sure Brian did not want to see that on turn 1. It is a solid hand, though, especially with the turn 1 Noble Hierarch. You're getting to those Court of Collected Companies very quickly if you use Finale to grab another Mana Dork, so...
I feel like this game also is a lot like our game 1 of last match. Oh.
So the Tidebinders did come in, and they're actually looking decent here. Might not be stopping the combo, but slowing down Brian a little bit.
Oh yeah, we will be playing a 3rd game in this match. Like, we're gonna see a land coming to play tapped, and then a Lord coming down in Master of the Pearl Trident. I think that Master of the Pearl, is that it?
Yeah, Master of the Pearl Trident. That sounds.
Is Pearl the
right.
Trident, the 1/1 old one.
Yeah, Merfolk of the Pearl Trident is the 1/1. Yeah.
And so that's going to come down, and then Kitchen Finks is going to try to stem the bleeding, but in fact it's going to get tapped down, and we're going to be taking a total of 8 damage next turn. So with 4 cards shut down, Brian, there's no way Brian wins this one.
We saw the Knight of Autumn come in, so there are answers to Grafdigger's Cage in the deck, but it's just not going to be fast enough. Even if it was drawn this coming turn, there's so much damage coming across. And there's still the Force of Negation to get rid of the first tutor effect, assuming Grafdigger's Cage does go away.
Yeah, and this is just taking it's 8 into 11 damage over the course of 2 turns. So due to this, Brian has 1 blocker. The writing's on the wall, but even if Brian wanted to attempt to block, he has to top deck another chump blocker, which he has failed to do. So.
Yeah, well, I guess we found the way that Merfolk can win the matchup. It's draw one of the 2 cages.
Draw the sideboard cards. I agree with that. That is modern in a nutshell.
So true. And is this not just lethal, or is it just lethal?
It should just be lethal.
Yeah, I think that is just lethal.
Yeah, it should just be exactly. And then...
Yeah, Brian's hand just did not line up with that cage. That's 4 cards in his hand that just did nothing as soon as that cage came down on turn 1.
Oh, it was brutal.
So, how much does play draw matter in this? Like, do you think Brian or Corbin are going to change their sideboard plans based on play draw here at all?
So, I'm going to answer that in 2 parts. I believe that play draw is way more important than most people give credit, but it's also really difficult to always do every single format and build decks around it. And then the second part is it's very difficult, so I have no idea.
I mean, I think being on the play definitely helpful in this matchup for either player, but it doesn't seem like we're seeing significant sideboard changes yet. So I'm going to defer to them since they know these decks better than I do.
Yes, this will be Brian's 3rd game with this deck. Lifetime.
That's still 3 more than me, so.
Yeah. Now this is a hand of Magic cards. Woo-wee!
Oh boy. So Corbin has Grafdigger's Cage. Oh, back into another 1-lander.
Yeah.
I think this is worse than the first hand that actually had blue mana and Cavern.
Yeah, this is actual just second versus same as the first.
Well, he keeps getting the Grafdigger's Cage, so I guess Corbin's probably happy about that, although not going to be nearly as effective in Game 3 as it was in Game 2, looking at Brian's hand and that Assassin's Trophy.
Well, it's not, but it's not that. This hand is not. It's low resources and no Lord. Okay, there is a Lord, but turn 3 Plague Engineer is going to get that Silvergill Adept off the board before the Anthem comes down. Because we're gonna. Oh, we're not going Cage first. Okay, so this is bad. This is bad. Oh,
and that looks like the combo being drawn.
Well, so, yeah, but we can't finale. So this is crazy. So we can't finale due to that miscaller in play, and it's a sacrifice. So even if we deal with it, it'll get sacrificed, and then we still can't use the force. So we're technically going to create infinite. We'll be able to create infinite mana, but the only thing we'd be able to do with it is activate the Gavony Township if everything interacts the way that it should, and if the cards do what I think they do.
I think you're right. It looks like infinite mana, but no payoff at the moment.
So this is a tough turn. Merfolk Trickster is a nice draw, but it depends on what's going to get cast. Now, it looks like setting stop, so the Trickster is going to happen. Now, if the Trickster happens, then Brian's still going to be able to play Brazier, play Plague Engineer. The Mistcaller is going to be sacked, and then the Force isn't going to be able to be cast. But then the next turn, oh no, it loses all abilities.
Yeah, so it would lose all abilities. So
then the Plague Engineer just gets cast, I guess.
Yeah, so the Plague Engineer would come down. That would deal with the Mistcaller. I think Corbin's considering playing Lord here, which almost... Could that be a better line? Like, I wonder if Plague Engineer is on his radar. I mean, he has to know what's in the sideboard, but if that's something he's considering here.
I think it's actually between Adept and Trickster, if I had to guess, because playing Lord here is... You're not interacting with your opponent. You do have the Mistcaller, but you're not interacting with your opponent, and you're not getting any velocity. And what's this Adept going to do? Is it just going to get stuck in your hand? The Plague Engineer is very good, but I don't know. Like I said, like I don't think you can play around a one of. You have the Mistcaller for any of the search things, so you know the Plague Engineer literally has to be drawn. I think just because it's in the hand is why we're focusing so much on it. Like I don't think Corbin's even thinking about it.
Yeah, it is just a one-of, so that is probably true.
I think
Corbin is thinking this through, though. Not an easy decision, apparently.
Oh no, and I mean, Corbin also wants to tie it up with the fish, right? Like one game away from winning a match with Merfolk is closer to winning a match of Merfolk than Corbin's played in a long time, right?
that is very true. He wants this one. It looks like it looks like he's going with the Merfolk Trickster plan, most likely. That was a
heads up block by Brian.
Yeah, got to save that point.
And so this is worst nightmare for Corbin.
So the Mistcaller still buys a turn, right?
The Mistcaller does buy the turn, but this is going to be infinite mana put into play, Plague Engineer put into play.
Yeah, so the board's going to get wiped. Infinite mana will be there next turn, and there's an answer to the Grafdigger's Cage, which would be the maybe way to stop the finale next turn. So unless Corbin has a great draw, which I guess like a Force Negation to stop the finale, the game should just be over next turn.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. Like a land, yeah, could Cage plus Trickster, but...
And even that's just like buying another turn, I guess, trying to stave off the inevitable. That was an impressive Plague Engineer.
Yeah, the card seems really good. I was thinking, I made a promise. We talked about it before we started, but I told Brian that I'm just going to play whatever he plays, and at the Mythic Championship 4, and he has played humans previously. He did play the last one, but with Plague Engineer, it seems scary to play that.
Fire here.
Like out there.
Yeah.
I know it's not in a lot of decks, but it's still just a very scary effect.
I actually think it's probably less scary against Merfolk than a lot of decks because of all the lords, but it was still very impressive in this game. Against like elves or humans, it can be super good.
Oh yeah, it was devastating this game, and now we're going to see Assassin's Trophy and the activation of a bunch of mana. And Corbin doesn't know if Brian has it or not, and it's on Brian's radar to just keep making mana to make Corbin think that, like we have an audience, so I might as well concede to so Corbin's going to have to wait it out.
Yep.
If I was in Brian's position, I would also just be adding mana as a troll without anything in hand.
Just to try to get the concession.
No, just for the audience to laugh.
Yeah,
but I'll get the free roll concession.
This is actually one of the most straightforward, I think, of the kills of the deck. With Finale Devastation, you can grab literally any creature, right? If you cast Finale with X being large enough, and it just attacks and wins.
That is true, right? So, and everything gets pumped, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Craterhoof Behemoth almost, I think.
Do like that card.
And yeah, there it is. And Merfolk fought a good fight, but in the end, where do you think that this Vizier Druid combo deck ranks right now in Modern, Brad? Like, I was watching some of the coverage this past week. It seems to be performing really well and doing well on camera. Is this like one of the top tier decks in the format?
So I do not know how resilient matchups like Phoenix. I did watch some of the coverage, and these are like, I can't actually answer exactly what's good, like what will happen, but I do know what will make this deck good. I think decks like this are at their best when things are very combo centric, because there's less like creature interaction. Well, it depends on how you build it, right? Because if creature interaction is very important, that like one of the things a lot of people, I thought like when I played Jund, Elves was actually a bad matchup because it was designed around card advantage. And if you build these Druid decks around a lot of card advantage, some of those matchups can be more difficult, but they usually have to be built faster. So to answer your question, I believe that it depends on how good the Phoenix matchup is. And if it can go toe-to-toe with that, if other combo decks show up in the format in the form of Dredge or whatever, what have you, that has less interaction, or at least in the first 3 turns, then I think that this is going to be a very good deck. It also got a lot of upgrades in Modern Horizons, but like a lot of people have said, Hogak strategies kind of just stymied the evolution of the format. The set is insane, right? Modern Horizons is very good for the format, so we don't know what's out there. There might be a few things that, like my prediction is there's a lot of people that are going to show up with this and Phoenix and Humans and Dredge and Tron or whatever, and there's just going to be a group of like, you know, lab scientist Magic players that just show up with like an unbelievably awesome deck at this tournament and have a really good win percentage.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this Mythic Championship. I think it's really cool. Like, as much as Hogak was not ideal for the format, I don't think, as we saw, because now it's banned, like that was, everyone kind of agreed on that. It does kind of give us 2 new formats with Modern Horizons. We had like the release and like a month and a half of like Hogak and other stuff, and now we're like kind of starting from scratch with Modern Horizons, London Mulligan, and Modern.
That's like saying that like Kaladesh Block gave us like 6 different standard formats.
Yeah, exactly, and everyone loved those standard formats.
Oh, too good. All right, so that is going to be it for round 4. Now, the Brothers Who Bash have been bashing, and we are up 3-1 on Brew Crew, but it's not over. I've seen Corey lose matches of Modern before. I've seen myself lose matches of Modern, and now I've seen Brian lose a match in round 2. So you all have to get 3 in a row, and we're going to be starting things off with Boring Old Phoenix from the Bash Bros, and a really interesting Goblin deck piloted by Caleb in the next round. So we're going to cut to commercial, but stay tuned for round 5 and a very exciting Phoenix versus Goblin matchup.
CoolStuffInc.com is your home for everything Magic the Gathering. Need singles for constructed or kitchen table play? Looking to pick up some sealed product or the latest in Magic accessories? We've got you covered with our extensive live inventory. With free shipping on orders of $100 or more, 25% buy list bonus, and our ever-popular customer rewards program, CoolStuffInc.com is the place for all your Magic the Gathering needs.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Team Modern Super League. I'm Corbin Hostler, who I just got finished getting destroyed by Brian Brown doing over here. So that was a pretty good match, and now you guys are, unfortunately, just one win away from taking it down.
That is correct. Yeah, I felt like that was a matchup that was maybe a little bit favored for me, but not significantly. You know, I have such an explosive. I have some explosive draws that you can't really do anything about. But you did also have some interaction. Cage.
Game 2 was nice. Game 2 felt like a return to, I don't know, 2015 Modern. I'm Tidebinder maging Kitchen Finks. That was nice.
Yeah, that was not 2019 gameplay right there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I kept a hand with 2 finales and 2 collected companies.
Oh man!
Crossed my fingers that there was no cage, and unfortunately there was a cage. So.
Yeah. Yeah, Mistcaller is a really nice addition to Merfolk that people might not have noticed over the past, however long it's been out. But it's pretty good against those decks, and sometimes you get Arc-like Phoenix players with it. But game 3 was the really interesting one to me, because on turn 2, when you had nothing into Druid, but you had kept 7, I actually kind of put you on Plague Engineer, and I had a lot of options. I could have played Master, I could have played a Lord to play around the Plague Engineer. I could have played Silverguild to draw. I had Cage in hand, which you saw. So I actually thought I was going to be okay. I actually thought I could, with the Mistcaller out, I could lose my board there and actually take the Engineer, handle the Engineer if that's what you had, and then follow up with Cage. But you had a great hand there in game 3.
Yeah, I had it all. I had Druid plus Vizier. I had the Finale. I had the Engineer, and I had Assassin's Trophy. Yeah. So really, I just had it all, and I actually missed Lethal, which I didn't realize, but I could.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the turn I Plague Engineered your creatures, I could have just cast a Finale for 20 and just not gotten a creature out of it and just attacked.
Oh, and just given. Wow, you're right. That's I hadn't thought of that line. That would have been impressive, actually, winning on turn 3 through a Cage and a Mistcaller that was in play. That was nice. No, Plague Engineer I am pretty excited to have in Modern. I think it's a really cool version of bringing Engineered Plague into the format.
Agreed. Yeah, I like that card a lot. I mean, personally, I dislike the card because it's really good against some of the decks that I like to play like humans, but I do think it's a great addition to the format for sure.
Yeah, and it's a fair way to it. It's actually better than Engineered Plague in a lot of decks because it's a creature, which is going to be kind of neat to see play out. But, I mean, people were talking about the Mythic Championship on stream here earlier. I am pretty excited because now we get to see what they wanted Modern to be with the London Mulligan and Modern Horizons. We never really got an opportunity since it just immediately got Hogacked. But now it's going to be wide open.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll see what happens there. I have no idea what's gonna play out there, but yeah, there's so many cards from Modern Horizons that are quality cards for the format, and it's just a question of like what's gonna be like good enough to actually do well, because there's so many options of cards that are just like really good cards, but like are they Modern good, like Seasoned Pyromancer, for example, right. Or Plague Engineer I think is just a great card. There's Ren and 6. There's so many cards from the set that I'm curious to see like how it shakes out.
I mean, hey, Jund won the Red Bull thing last week. I believe that was the tournament that it won. That's cool, right? If Jund is good, Modern is good. That's generally the way I've looked at it. As much as I dislike Jund, that it seems to be a good barometer for how the format's doing.
Yeah, and one thing about Jund that's I think is interesting is actually the more narrow the format gets, the better Jund becomes. I in my opinion. So a deck like Hogaak actually greatly benefits Jund because it pushes out all these other decks that then Jund, like the flaw with decks like Jund or other mid-range decks is when you have like 15 decks to worry about, you don't have enough cards to deal with them all. But when one deck is really dominating the format, it opens the door up for something like Jund to actually be good.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I really liked Caleb's Skelemental deck that he played earlier. Big fan of that one. Also a big fan of what we have coming up next. We have Goblins taking on, what is your team bringing to the table here?
Oh, Boring Old Phoenix.
Boring Old Phoenix, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're Goblin Ringleader. I don't know if that's what Modern Goblins needed, but I like that they're trying. I would love to see goblins, become an actual deck in the format, even if it's not good. If it's just, playable in something other than sort of the 8-whack shell that it was before, that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, I agree with that. Goblins was always kind of a cool fringe strategy in Modern, but now it actually can be like before, like you were saying, it was kind of an all-in deck. Now maybe it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, so, all right, here we go into the game. Well, we can talk about Modern Horizons cards. There's Aria of Flame for Corey there. Talk about that card in Phoenix, assuming you are, I believe you're familiar with the archetype.
Yeah, I am. So I actually think this card's great. It is another way for Phoenix to chain spells together and win a game that doesn't involve a creature. Like Phoenix itself is vulnerable to a variety of removal, graveyard hate, etc. Whereas Aria kind of dodges all that and still wins the game, sometimes even faster than Phoenix can do.
Yeah, it's a neat design, that's for sure. Not one you would expect. Caleb, on the other hand, over here, this is an interesting hand. We've got the Vial, and anything with the Vial is a good start. Goblin Ruin Blaster here, Zendikar Standard.
Yeah,
back in play.
I'm feeling there needs to be like a Lotus Cobra to turn it out.
Yeah, that's right. Those were the days. That was the 32. What was it? 32 Jace top 8 or something from an event back then. That was fun times in Standard.
Okay, so Corey just drew the nuts here. It looks like.
Yeah, this is insane. This is what this deck can do.
It is. So he Faithless Looting 2 Phoenixes to the yard, and then he has Lava Dart plus Flashback to get the third spell, and now Caleb's at 18, a convenient life total when he's dealing 6 a turn.
Yeah, welcome to Modern, everybody. We've seen turn 2 Neoform kills. We've seen turn 2 kills on Neoform, where it gets Spell Pierced out of the game. And now we're seeing someone trying to have fun and fight the good fight. Caleb here with these goblins, getting boogeymaned out here on turn 2 by Phoenix.
Yeah, we have 2 1/1s with Echo against at 12 life 2/3/2 flyers.
We talked about Aria of Flame, but it turns out it's not even going to happen.
Yeah, just completely unnecessary. I mean, there are still ways that I mean, I have to check Caleb's list. If he has like something like Sting Scourger, he's not necessarily out of the game. It's going to be a tough one, but
yeah, I think we're a draw step away from being on to game 2 here.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, Phoenix this is sort of, Phoenix was the deck before Hogak arrived, and a lot of decks got a lot of cards, and Phoenix gained at least Lava Dart. We see Aria Flame as well. So, I'm not confident that we're just going to default back to the Phoenix metagame that we had a couple months ago, because Tron got new pieces. There's these Modern Horizons cards that impact the format. And, Phoenix and Tron are going to be number 1 on people's radars in Barcelona here in a couple of weeks. And we'll see what everyone can do about it. But I don't know if Foundry Street Denizen is what they're going to do about it.
Yeah. Denizen against the Lava Dart deck, also a little bit of a liability. But I think that Goblins, like, I wouldn't say that Phoenix is just, even though that game was just a slaughtering.
Yeah.
Cordy kind of just had the nut, and I wouldn't in the dark assume that Phoenix is necessarily favored against Goblins. I think Thing in the Ice is probably like absurd versus them, but Goblins is one of those decks that just like deals a lot of damage in stupid ways. It feels like your opponent has 3 1/1s in play, and then all of a sudden you're taking 10. So I would never count a deck like that out.
That's true, and it does, even if you, against Phoenix, if they don't have a great draw and you can make them burn a lot of spells early just to stabilize, then sometimes, you can at least make getting the Phoenixes themselves out a little more difficult. But now sideboarding, Corey has access to some sweepers. There's Anger of the Gods there. Some more removal coming in as well. So this is one of those decks where you have to be careful, I think, not to dilute your plan too much, but fortunately all the cards you want here work with your main game plan.
Yeah, and one card that Caleb gains though is Chalice of the Void, which is very strong. A turn 2 Chalice of the Void for 1 shuts out a lot of the Phoenix deck. It's going to make it really hard to bring back Arclight Phoenixes or chain cards together. So
yeah, I think Chalice of the Void might be one of the what's already been very important, but even more important going forward. Modern has just become more and more lean, which is not a bad thing. But look at the Merfolk list I played; it wasn't terribly long ago, we were jamming 4 Mara Rageries and 4 Master of Waves, and now we're back to the legacy style of Merfolk where it's all 2-drops, and you're seeing kind of the whole format go in that direction where it's all about efficiency. And Lava Dart is a pretty interesting piece of tech, given that.
Yeah, I agree with that, and like that also showcases one of Corey's cards that just a braid is just so good. It kills a creature or kills a vial or kills a chalice. Cards like that, versatility, cheap versatile cards get better as formats get faster.
Yeah, so looks like we saw a roll 6 here from Caleb, getting aggressive this time around. No vials. Foundry Street Denizen comes out, and he's got the Ward Marshal follow up. I guess as far as lootings go, it could be a lot worse for Caleb, anyways. I mean, only 1 Phoenix in the yard this time.
Yeah, not the actual worst for Caleb. Really slow start for Corey, who's probably going to have to spend next turn flashing back the looting and then attempting the following turn to flip thing in the ice and get back the Phoenix.
Yeah, depending on how, aggressive Caleb's turn here is, and we know it's going to be pretty solid. It's a lot of damage coming in. But, the thing in the ice can soak up one of those hits. So you could also, go for the Abrade Serum Visions next turn to look for something. But I think you're probably right. If he lootings just to set it up after that, the follow-up, especially when the tokens are around, could be pretty devastating against a board full of small goblin tokens.
Yeah, one interesting thing here is that Sting Scourger. Corey not being able to immediately flip thing in the ice means that Sting Scourger is going to bounce it and deal a lot of damage. But that looks like one of those kinds of things that goblins can do to other decks. That's really punishing.
Yeah, and now we see that Corey actually not entirely sure what he did with his scries there, but getting the land off the top, that means he's, committed this turn to either playing another Serum Visions, or it looks like he just passed with a Braid up here. So setting up probably for, flipping that thing in the ice next turn.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to try to use a Braid plus a block to soak up damage, flip thing in the ice next turn, possibly get a Phoenix back, depending on if he can draw something that's cheap.
Yeah, and we actually see an interesting decision here from Caleb because, this is turn 4. He's got the Sling Gang Lieutenant there, so he can actually sacrifice those goblins for value if that's what he chooses to do. Looks like the Sting Scourger coming out instead.
Yeah, so the Lieutenant would have dealt a lot of damage this turn, but then everything would have gotten picked back up by the thing in the ice. So I like going for the Sting Scourger because that basically sets Corey back, and then also you still have the Goblin for next turn, which is probably lethal. I haven't done exactly the math, but
I mean, this is a big hit coming in. Even through that Abrade, it's swinging for 7, I believe, going to get in for 4. Take Corey down to 11. Now Corey has some options. Finale of Promise off the top. He's got Thing in the Ice, Serum Visions, as well as a Faithless Looting in his graveyard. What does he want to do here? Is it too late to try to flip Thing in the Ice? What's the plan here?
I like what Corey's going for here. Cast 3 spells, get back your Phoenix. That's going to be able to block. Maybe if he blows up the Foundry Street Denizen, that's going to make his Phoenix be big enough to deal with all the creatures in play. Caleb's gonna have to sacrifice Sting Scourger or pay for anyway, so this is kind of a real, you don't want to cast 3 spells before you put a thing in the ice in play. But this is the safest line, I think, for Corey, and I like him taking it.
Yeah, and this is Sting Scourger, I guess, the MVP of this deck here. This game was, more or less probably over if Corey had gotten to flip that thing in the ice. Instead, Caleb can cash in a Sunbaked Canyon if he wants. He's not going to. He just wants to ensure he can play that Sling Gang here.
Yeah.
But Phoenix not attacking is a good sign. Not the end of the game, of course. Phoenix a pretty good blocker as well, but actually opted to pay the Echo and get on in here. So, and the block coming out from Corey.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't hate that line from Caleb. I think that's you get to make the trade. You're no longer aggroing your opponent out because they've kind of stymied your offense a bit. So why not,
Yeah, and if for whatever reason Corey chosen to take that, which he wanted, it's just another creature around for the Sling Gang afterwards. So looks like It's going to be one more spell from Corey here, so probably not going to be able to, do anything. Completely broken with Thing in the Ice, which means Caleb's at least going to get a chance to put some more creatures into play and have some way to get around, get some damage in at least against that Thing in the Ice before it transforms.
Yeah, like the Sling Blade can deal a decent amount of damage, like sacrificing tokens that are otherwise going to get flipped to Thing in the Ice anyway.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like it's like going to be maybe enough to
yeah. And that is a second Phoenix now hitting the graveyard for Corey there. So when he does bring him back, it's going to be 2 coming back. So along with Thing in the Ice, that's 13 damage. But Sling Gang is probably the best option we have here. Caleb with his back against the wall, fighting for our tournament life. Well, at least our buy into the top 4, anyways.
Yeah, I will say that I like Corey's odds here.
Yeah.
It's not over, but Corey can flip Thing in the Ice and then make and then get the Phoenix back afterwards, which is very convenient. That also represents a ton of damage. So.
Yeah, and going with the opt here on the instep. Anger of the Gods. It's an embarrassment of riches over there right now.
That is a lot of riches. The Anger's honestly not even that good because the tokens can just get sacked and then Thing in the Ice is going to flip anyway. So
yeah, so I believe Sling Gang drains, and so if Caleb can come up with a way to find 5 damage off the top. Yep, there we go. Loses 1 life and you gain a life. So he's actually gonna, gain 5 for what it's worth, back up to 21, which might end up being relevant. But he's gonna really need. I'm not even sure what he could find here, but he's gonna need some way to pull a bunch of damage off the top of his deck.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for Corey because he wants, I like him casting Anger here because he wants Sling Blade gone for good. Because the way he's going to lose this game is just getting drained out 10 goblins to the face or something. And if he goes to flip the Thing in the Ice, he gets drained for 4, but then he still has the Sling Blade for a future turn. Right,
yeah, and it could chump block as well. And because it actually drains, it makes, it changes the clock a little bit, and then, Caleb could find something off the top here. So,
yeah.
Here it is, though. It's going to flip the Thing in the Ice. All the goblins are gone. It's 21-5. So can Caleb find a way to pull 5 damage off the top of the deck? That's, I believe, what we're looking at.
Yeah. Will Corey... Also, the question is, will Corey flip Thing in the Ice here? He might decide not to. Because if Corey's not interested in attacking... because he's afraid of a haste creature or some other shenanigans, outside the shenanigans in his hand, of course, he may just say go, wait for Caleb to redeploy to the board, and then bounce end of turn. Maybe the line that he takes.
Yeah, it looks like what he's going to do. And all right, Sunbaked Canyon doing what it can here. Caleb can. Guess we could go for the Goblin Chieftain. This is much better though.
Sunbaked Canyon doing what a canyon.
Yeah, not too much here.
It's a disease. The Chief is actually pretty good though. Like that gives him the chance to do some real.
Right, it does.
Oh, I keep saying shenanigans. I'm just can't get it out of my head.
Well, I mean, look at this actually. Foundry Shriek Denizen in hand, that can come into play off the Vial. The Chieftain gives it haste and +1/+1 plus the trigger. Is that 5 damage?
It is. Yeah, that is actually 5 damage. So
if Corey, it looks like he's going to have a backup Thing in the Ice here, maybe. But if Corey were to, just spend a bunch of mana on a Finale or something here, and attack for 16 or 13 or what have you, Caleb actually does have a way to steal this game right now.
He does. Yeah, he does. He does represent 5 damage in his hand, plus anything off the top that costs 1 or 2 mana.
Yeah.
Or like
one mana.
That would get the job done.
Could find another Foundry Shriek Denizen or so on here. So, yeah, it looks like Corey is going to cast the Finale of Promise, targeting Manamorphose and Serum Vision. So, I think he has not played a land, right? So there should still be a Scalding Tarn and a Thing in the Ice to end on here.
Yeah, and that looks like an Upbraid as well. So Corey might consider the line of Corey's not going to want to go to 3 life. I don't think. Just risk dying to Sling Blade, but
Lava Dart.
yeah, the dart's a big game.
The Dart and the Abrade here. You know, this game was almost really interesting. I guess he was always going to have access to a thing in the ice to block, but we saw a brief glimpse of hope there.
Yeah, there was a small moment where you thought maybe the unthinkable can happen, and then you realized it could not. Yeah.
I mean, hey, if Corey had been, you know, if he was 1 mana less there, and obviously hadn't drawn the Dart, though, it would have worked. If he, you know, had opted to not play that thing, you know, second thing in the ice. But unfortunately now, it's like the writing is on the wall. I guess if you ignore the Lava Dart that Caleb doesn't know about, he's not technically dead, but yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Caleb theoretically could live another turn. Yeah, if you are not aware of the Lava Dart, but with the Lava Dart, the 2 Phoenixes, 7 damage.
Yeah, well, there you go. Congrats to the brothers who bash. Good podcast and not bad at Modern either, I guess.
Another successful bashing. That's what I call it. Every day, you know, another day, another bash.
Yeah, well, that is it. We only were able to take one. Unfortunately, we tried. We were very close this week to just going all tribal.decks and bringing Merfolk and Goblins and Slivers and Elementals or what have you, Shamans. In the end, we had fun and it didn't quite work out, but it was a great week. So this sets you guys up now with a bye into the top 4, I believe, of the Modern Super League. And my team is still into the top 8, so the Brew Crew is not done. The 4 of us will be back next time.
Yes, yeah, you are not done. You can still win your next match and get in there. So,
yeah, well, I believe that's all we have. So everyone, thanks for watching. Next week you can find it is the Stream Team versus the Scary Pateris. I'm sure that's how you pronounce it. So
I think it's just Terry, but I'm not an expert on scary things. So.
No, yeah, I mean a Pateri is much scarier. So everyone, thank you for watching Team Modern Super League. We'll be back next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific. Thank you everyone for watching. Good night and enjoy Modern. See you next week.
During the Hyundai 4th of July.
All right. Alright, so we have 1 win, so that means we get 2 packs. 2 wins means we get 800 gems and 3 packs, which means we can play some War of the Spark.
totally the best pyromancy student. Mother Ludi always say, fight fire with fire. Fire spreads fast, with help. Tell me if you've seen this one before. Find your fires of passion within. Fire spreads fast, with help. We can do this together. study? Focus? I just want to burn stuff already. Can't believe Mother Ludi gave us homework. Find your fires of passion within. study, focus. I just want to burn stuff already. We can do this together. Mother Ludi always say, fight fire with fire.
Alright, well this might be my last game, guys, because I am starting to suck. Four, five, six.
I'm happy as a hellion to start some fires. Come on, Chandra, remember that spell. Study? Focus? I just want to burn stuff already. believe Mother Ludi gave us homework. We can do this together. Hey, these little guys are great!
that was rough. Interesting. All right, well, good fight, good night. We'll see you in a couple.